Hello grade 6 and welcome to your mathematics lesson brought to you by Worksheet Cloud. Today we'll be having a look at fractions, more specifically the addition and subtraction of fractions. Hello guys, my name is Gareth Jordan and I'll be your mathematics teacher for today as we cover fractions, more specifically the addition and subtraction of fractions. At Worksheet Cloud, our main goal is to make learning as fun as possible because let's be honest, studying is pretty boring. That's why we've just launched our brand new Worksheet Cloud Rewards Hub feature where you can earn awesome rewards while you learn, including a chance at getting a PlayStation 5 and some Nomu hot chocolate. But I'll tell you more about that a little later. Let's get into today's lesson. Okay guys, so today we've got a warm-up brain freshener, some mental maths questions, a fraction recap, adding and subtracting fractions, a brain bender, and then a challenger to end off on. Let's have a look at the brain freshener. Okay, so on your screen you've got three statements. One of those statements is a lie. You need to figure out which one is a lie, and you need to tell me why. Press pause, go work it out, and then press play to see how you got on. Okay guys, welcome back. So let's have a look at our warm-up. So we're dealing with equivalent fractions. Remember, equivalent fractions are fractions that look different, but they actually equal the same amount. Okay, so if I had a look at statement number 1, I think the easiest way to compare those fractions is to see if you can actually simplify all of them to 1/3, because 1/3 is the simplest out of all of those fractions. So if I look at 10 over 30, I know that I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 10, which means that 10 over 30 is indeed equal to 1 over 3. Now if I look at it 7 over 21, if I know my 7 times table, I know that 7 goes into both 7 once, and it goes into 21 3 times. Okay, so there we can see all three fractions have the value of 1/3 when simplified. So statement number 1 is true. Statement number 2, let's try simplify. So I'm looking for the highest common factor that goes into 18 and 24. And I know that 6 goes into 18 3 times, and 6 goes into 24 4 times. If I look at 2/3, it's already in its most simplest form. 9 over 12, I know that 3 goes into 9 3 times, and 3 goes into 12 4 times. So there we have a little problem. We've got 3/4, 2/3, and 3/4, which means they are not all equivalent. So here is your lie, and I've just proven to you why. But let's have a look at the third statement, because you never know what comes up. There might be 2 lies. We've got to check everything to be absolutely sure. So if I look at 250 over 300, I know that 50 goes into 255 times, and it goes into 306 times. And if I look at 5 over 6, it's already simplified. 35 over 42, I know my times tables, so I know that 7 goes into 35 5 times, and I know 7 goes into 42 6 times. So there we have 5 over 6, 5 over 6, 5 over 6. So we know that the third statement is also true, leaving you with statement number 2 as a lie. Okay, so I hope you managed to get through that warm-up. Let's have a look at the mental maths questions for today. Okay, guys, so here are your mental maths questions for today. All of them cover fraction principles that I feel you should know about grade 6. Press pause again. Work through the 4 questions and then press play to see how you got on. Okay guys, welcome back. Let's have a look at how you got on. So first question, what is the LCM of 6 and 7? So the LCM, remember, is the lowest common multiple. Really important for when we want to add and subtract fractions and we're trying to get the denominators to equal the same amount. So as a recap, to find the lowest common multiple, we write out the 6 times table. So 6, 12, 18, 24. Okay, and I'm going to just stop there. And we write out the 7 times table. And you should have seen straight away that the number 42 is the first number that appears in both the 6 times table and the 7 times table. So it's the first and the lowest. So therefore, your lowest common multiple of 6 and 7 is equal to 42. Okay, question number 2. What is the HCF of 42 and 63? Now, HCF stands for highest common factor. So remember, factors are numbers that fit into bigger numbers. So what numbers can divide into 42 perfectly with no remainders? The number 1, yes. The number 2, the number 3, the number 4, no. We then go to the number 6 and the number 7. We go to 14, 21, and 42. So here you need to know your divisibility rules. What are divisibility rules? How do I know if a number can be divided by another number? So I know that 42 can be divided by 1. I know it can be divided by 2 because it's even. The rule for the divisibility of 3 is if I take the number 42 and I split the digits up into 4 plus 2, which equals 6, okay, and that answer 6 can be divided by 3, then this original number 42 can be divided by 3. Okay, so that's the divisibility rule for the number 3. So you don't have to go do the whole calculation. You can just add 4 and 2 equals 6. Is 6 divisible by 3? Yes, it is. Therefore, 42 is divisible by 3. Okay, I know that 6 goes into 42 because 6 times 7 is equal to 42. So both 6 and 7 go into 42. 3 multiplied by 14 is 42. And 2 multiplied by 21 is 42. So there I've just shown you the factor pairs of 42. Okay, that's a little check strategy to see if I haven't left any out. Okay, right, let's go have a look at 63. All right, so we know that 63 is divisible by 1 because 1 fits into pretty much everything. And we know its factor pair is 63. So this is another way for you to write it down. 2 doesn't go into 63 because it's not even. 3, does 3 go into 63? Yes, it does. Okay, because 6 plus 3 is equal to 9, and 9 can be divided by 3. So 3 multiplied by 21 is equal to 63. So both of those two are 63. And then my last two are 9 and 7. Now I'm looking for the highest number that happens in both sets. And that is indeed 21. So your highest common factor is equal to 21. Okay? Now that's useful for when we want to simplify fractions. When I'm looking for a number that goes into both the denominator and the numerator, and I want to make the fraction smaller. So if you have a look at question number 3, I've given you 18 over 24 to simplify. So I need to look for the highest common factor of 18 and 24. So if I go to 18, my factors are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. And if I go to 24, my factors are 1, 2, 3, 6. I've left out 4, so 4 actually comes before 6. 4, 6, 8, 12, 24. Okay, so which is the highest common factor? Which number happens in both sets that's the highest? Okay, and I think we can all see that it's the number 6. All right, so if I divide both the numerator and the denominator by the number 6, I'm going to get 3 over 4, and 3/4 is my simplified fraction of 18 over 24. Okay, and then your final question was convert to a mixed numeral and simplify 18 over 8. Okay, so remember 18 over 8 means 18 divided by 8. That's what a fraction is. It's a division sum. So first convert to a mixed numeral. How many times does 8 go into 18? It's twice. What's left over? 2 over 8 is left over. Okay, but now I need to simplify. So remember, simplify the fraction. What number goes into both 2 and 8? They're both even. So the most obvious number that goes into 2 and 8 is indeed 2. So 2 divided by 2 and 8 divided by 2. And that will give me an answer of 2 and 1/4. Okay, great. Let's carry on with the rest of the lesson. Okay, so just as a little reminder, and I'm sure you don't need it, but remember the top number in a fraction is a numerator, and the bottom number in the fraction is a denominator. So from here on in, I'll be referring to numbers as numerators and denominators. And also remember, and this is a golden rule for adding and subtracting fractions, you can only add and subtract fractions if their denominators are exactly the same. Okay? When the denominators are exactly the same, all we need to do is add the numerators and you keep the same denominator. You do not add the denominators. So let's go have a look at what I'm talking about. So here you got two examples. 3/8 plus 4/8. Now that's pretty straightforward because the denominators are equal. So there I can see 3/8. I want to add 4/8. So how many of those squares are shaded in? That's right. 3 plus 4 is 7. So I add the numerators. I keep the same denominator. For the second question, I can see I've got 7 over 12. I need to add 4 over 12. Okay, so I can see now there are 11 shaded in, and it's 11/12 that are shaded in. So again, adding the numerators and keeping the same denominator. Right, so we've spoken about the lowest common multiple. So in these questions, or in the questions that follow, you're going to have to find the lowest common multiple. So I've just put this in as a recap for you guys. So if I asked you for the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4, you would write down those times tables of 3 and 4, and there you can see the lowest number that happens in both sets. Of 5 and 20, I write down the multiples of 5 and 20, and you write them down until you find the lowest one that happens in both sets. And there you can see it's 20. And then for my final one, for the multiples of 3 and 8, I write down the times tables of 3 and 8. And I look for the lowest number that occurs in both sets, and that is the number 24. Okay, so that's just a quick recap of the lowest common multiples. Okay, so here we've got 2/3 plus 1/4. So here the denominators are different. So we're going to have to change the denominators to the same amount. And our multiples that we need to know are the multiples of 3 and 4. So we look for the lowest common multiple, which is 12. So now we know what the denominator needs to change into. It needs to change into 12. So how do I change 2/3 to a fraction out of 12? Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So therefore, I must do the same to the numerator. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so 8 over 12 is equivalent to 2/3. And then for 1/4, I also need it to be out of 12. I know 4 times 3 is 12. And I must do the same to the numerator. 3 times 1 is 3. So now I've got two fractions, 8 over 12 plus 3 over 12. They both have the same denominators. All I need to do is add their numerators. 8 plus 3 is equal to 11 over 12. Right, let's have a look at another one. 2/5 plus 3/8. So that's what they'll look like if I represent them as fractions with some graphics. I know I need to write out the times tables of the denominators, 5 and 8. I know I need to look for the lowest number that occurs in both sets, which is indeed 40. Now I need to change the denominators to 40. So how do I change 5 to 40? Well, 5 times 8 is 40. So therefore, I must do the same to the numerator. 2 times 8 is 16. For the 3/8, I know 8 times 5 is 40. So I must do the same to the numerator. 3 times 5 is 15. Now I've got two fractions, both the same denominator. All I do is add the numerators, and you will see I get an answer of 31 over 40. Okay, last one, 3/4 plus 1/6. Again, different denominators. Okay, so we represent it as follows. We then write down the times tables of our denominators. We look for the lowest number that occurs in both sets. We know the denominators need to be 12. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12. I do the same to the numerator. 3 times 3 is 9. I know that 6 times 2 is 12. I do the same to the numerator. 1 times 2 is 2. Now my denominators are the same. I simply add the numerators, keep the same denominator, and my final answer is 11 over 12. Okay, great. Right, so here's some examples for you to do. I'm going to flash the question on the screen. You press pause, you work through it, and then come back to see if you got the question correct. So there's your first one, 5/8 plus 1/3. So the denominators are different. So I know I need to write out the 8 and the 3 times table. Okay, if I write those out, I look for the lowest number that occurs in both sets. You should have got the number 24. I know that 8 times 3 is 24, so I must do the same to the numerator. 5 times 3 is 15. I know for the second fraction, 3 times 8 is 24, so I must do the same to the numerator. 1 times 8 is 8. And then I add the numerators, have the same denominator, and my final answer is 23 over 24. Okay, so here goes your second one. Press pause, and let's see how you guys get on. Okay, guys, welcome back. So if you have a look at your denominators, again, they are different. So we're looking for the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4. Once you've written out those times tables, you should have recognized that 20 was the first number that appeared in both sets. So if I look at 2/5, 5 times 4 is 20. I must therefore do the same to the numerator. 2 times 4 is 8. If I look at 1/4, and I look at the denominator, 4 times 5 is 20. So I do the same to the numerator. 1 times 5 is 5. And I add the numerators. 8 plus 5 is 13. And I keep the denominator 20. Your last question, 1/12 plus 3/4. Press pause and let's see if you can get the last one right. Okay, welcome back, guys. So we're looking for the lowest common multiple of 12 and 4. So here you can see that the denominator of 4 can actually also be turned into 12. All right, so I don't actually have to do anything to 1/12. I only have to change the 4 from 3/4 into 12. Then both fractions will have the same denominators. So I need to multiply the 4 by 3 to get 12. And then I multiply that numerator, 3 by 3 to get 9. Okay, and that will give me the 1 plus the 9. Now all I need to do is add the numerators. 1 plus 9 is 10. The same denominator 12. And then we need to simplify. Okay, so we need to be able to recognize, okay, 10 over 12 is not in its simplest form. They're both even numbers. They can both be divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 6 divided by 2 is 12. Great. And look at the time. We've been working pretty well, guys. I think it's an opportunity for us to have a little bit of a halftime break. Okay, that means it's time for me to have a quick sip of my Nomu hot chocolate. I'd encourage you to have a break as well, and then we'll get back into the subtraction of fractions. Cheers. Let's be honest, studying sucks, but here at Worksheet Cloud, we make it suck less. In Worksheet Cloud, you can earn avatars, sidekicks, collectible coins, and level up, all while studying. Plus, we've just added our most exciting feature to date, the brand new Worksheet Cloud Rewards Hub. With the Worksheet Cloud Rewards Hub, you can earn epic rewards and unlock entry tickets to win real giveaway prizes, including a PlayStation 5, some yummy Nomu hot chocolates, and some fresh Worksheet Cloud merch. The more questions you answer, the more points you earn, and the more rewards you unlock. Worksheet Cloud makes your studying easier with video lessons, practice exams, practice questions, and study notes. In other words, we're your go-to place for all your studying. Ask your parents to sign you up to worksheetcloud.com today. Okay, break over. Let's continue with the rest of our work. Okay, so the subtraction of fractions works exactly the same way. Again, your fractions have different denominators. They need to be the same for you to be able to subtract them. Okay, so we're looking for the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4. There's my visual representation of 2/3 and 1/4. Again, I just write out the multiples of 3 and 4. You can see it's 12. And I think by now I should be able to go through these relatively quickly. There are your two equivalent denominators. And now all I do is I subtract the numerators. 8 minus 3 is going to give me 5/12. Okay, second example, 2/5 minus 3/8. So again, there's my visual representations of 2/5 and 3/8. And you can see we can't subtract them because they're entirely different. Okay, so the denominators again are different, 5 and 8. I must write out their times tables, look for the lowest number that occurs in both sets, okay, and then change my original fractions to fractions out of 40. Okay, I need to know that I do that by multiplying 2/5 by 8, so that gives me 16/40, and I know that I must multiply 3/8 by 5 to give me 15/40. Now I know that 16/40 minus 15/40 is going to give me 1/40. Okay, so again, here's some practice questions for you. Press pause, see if you can work them out, and then come back to see how you got on. Okay, guys, welcome back. So again, different denominators. So if I write out the 3 and the 8 times table, I'll notice that 24 is the lowest common multiple. I know 5/8 needs to be multiplied by 3, so that's going to give me 15/24. I know that 1/3 needs to be multiplied by 8, so that's going to give me 8/24, and then 15 minus 8 is equal to 7/24. 7/24 is already in its simplest form, so no simplifying needed there. Your second question, 2/5 minus 1/4. Okay, so my lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is equal to 20. I know 2/5 must be multiplied by 4 to give me 8/20. 1/4 must be multiplied by 5 to give me 5/20. And then 8 minus 5 is 3/20. Again, 3/20 in its simplest form. Your last question, 3/4 minus 1/12. Okay, so here only one fraction needs to be changed because one denominator, 4, can turn into another denominator, 12. All right, so my lowest common multiple is 12. I need to multiply 3/4 by 3 to get 9/12. I keep the 1/12, and now it's just 9 minus 1 is 8/12, but 8/12 can be simplified to 2/3. Okay, the highest common factor there is 4. Okay, so that's the subtraction of fractions, guys. Very much the same as addition, except you are subtracting the numerators. Right, let's have a look at today's finisher. All right, so it's a multiplication table. You need to tell me what are the values of all the symbols. I'm going to give you an opportunity to try to figure it out. Your clue is your left-hand side column. So the number 6, the light bulb, and the hourglass. You need to multiply with 3, 4, and 5 across the top, and that will give you the answers to the symbols. See if you can work it out, and then press play to come back to have a look at the answer. Welcome back. Let's see how you got on. Right, so our first calculation that we should do is 6 times 3, because that's going to give me 18 for the mouse. Okay, then 6 times 4 is going to give me 24 for the megaphone. And then 6 times 5 is going to give me 30 for the paper aeroplane. So I could put 24 in and 30 in where they need to go. So now I know that the light bulb times 3 is going to give me 24. So it's 8 times 3 is going to give me 24. I can check 8 times 4, it gives me 32. So that's a little check for me. And then 8 times 5 is going to give me 40 for the headphones. Okay, so the hourglass times 3 is going to give me 30. So it's 10 times 3 gives me 30. So now I need to use the 10 and the 4 to give me the earphones. And that's another little check because we already know that the earphones is equal to 40. And then your last one, the iPad, is going to be 10 times 5, which is equal to 50. So the paper airplane is 30, the mouse is 18, the iPad is 50, 8 for the light bulb, 24 for the megaphone, 40 for the earphones, and 10 for the hourglass. So this is just to show you where you can access a little worksheet with memo so that you can go and do a little bit of additional practice on the addition and subtraction of fractions. So click the description of the video to get your worksheet and memo. Do that extra practice, and then when you get back to school or you sit in your exams, Worksheet Cloud would have been there to help you understand adding and subtracting of fractions. And then lastly, guys, before I say goodbye, a reminder to get your parents to sign you up to worksheetcloud.com so you can start earning your rewards and maybe even be the lucky one to get that PlayStation 5, some Nomu hot chocolate, and some Worksheet Cloud merchandise. I hope you learned something today. I look forward to the next lesson with you. All the best.